welcome back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review, folks. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson. This is my co-host, Mike Stephenson.
Hi, guys.
And tonight we are doing a triple header for our Boys and Ghouls, titled Hell House LLC, whatever that means.
Yeah.
The first one, which is done in 2015, the second, 2018, and the third one that was released 2020.
Yeah, these are, excuse me, haven't been sleeping well. Okay, yeah, found footage type movies for those of you who like that sort of genre.
Yes.
Horror, obviously. Now, one of the reasons why we chose this, it's three movies in the same series, but it has the same writer, it's got the same producer, and it's got the same director.
A triple header, as I said.
So I am inspired by it. I mean, instead of saying, these guys have swapped and changed and whatever, no, they stayed true to themselves and actually done the product.
Yeah, most of the time that you would get, if you're doing a sequel, the original director may not, or a scriptwriter will not come forward to write something. He would get someone else to write it for him.
So having said that, I'm going to mention a few names now. Okay. Produced by, the three movies. Okay. Produced by, the first one, the Hell House LLC 2015, was produced by Joe Bandelli and Matt DiPaola, I think is the right pronunciation. Now, for 2 and 3, Joe Bandelli was a producer. Now, as far as directing and writing goes, Stephen Cognetti was the director and writer for the three movies. More so, the first movie was more of a documentary style than the others, but they had the same sort of documentary style flowing through them a little bit. And a lot of found footage, obviously. What else? I don't want to say too much. I can't talk about the budget because I don't know the budget. I don't know too much about the money side because it pretty much went straight to video on demand and things like Amazon, Shudder, YouTube, Vudu, iTunes, that sort of stuff. So I don't know about the how much money it's made. I would say this. I normally talk about reception later on. A lot of people who like this sort of movie, the found footage horror, a lot of people have liked it because they follow this sort of stuff. So
and this is the only one that has a good continuation of the story.
Yeah, and I was going to say the continuity works in these three movies.
Yeah, unlike the usual, we got a new group of people, and a new house,
and
yada,
the
yada,
fresh
yada.
storyline. This concerns the same house with the same evil entity in it.
Yes.
And so it just goes on with the first group, and a couple of years later, another group going there to do something, and a bit later on, somebody else goes in there, and that sort of thing. But it does have a good closure. Interesting closure, not the greatest closure, but it's got a good start, it's got a good middle, it's got a good end, so it does all come together.
Yeah, unlike other supernatural
some fall apart that way.
Found footages where they just like paranormal activities. I know that one's been going on for a bit, and for some people they prefer the first one, but that one continued on and on in no closure on the story.
Yeah, you want a bit of closure somewhere along the line. Let's keep going. Let's go to another place. Let's have a bit more poltergeist type stuff, whatever it's going to be. Paranormal activity, whatever it is.
I know in reality it looks more scarier if there's no closure because this is supposed to be based in real life.
What's going to happen next?
Where
it leaves it up to your imagination.
Where the acting is pretty much, ordinary acting. Like you have to act like a normal person, not stagey. Isn't that right, Mike?
Well, yeah. That's one thing I find in some of these. I wouldn't say amateur, but
I wouldn't say stagey.
No, I wouldn't say amateur. But these independent sort of things. Some of the actors can get it. Just they act like themselves.
Exactly.
It's not like, I'm trying to be a martial arts guy. No, they just walk around like you and I just talking and stuff, and it comes over quite natural. In some other things, people try too much, and they get somebody who's got a bit of stage work behind them, and it sounds like they're on stage. You don't want them because it takes away the natural feeling of it. So
And when I was saying stagey, I didn't mean it that way. I mean, I meant set up. Mostly.
No, that's true. You don't want to. You want to feel natural. Like, hey, we walk into this room here. oh look, behind door number 1. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
You want to say you want a real jump scare coming out of a room that you really didn't expect to come out of.
Yeah. Anyway, the interesting thing about this movie is the continuation and how it has a good closure, even though people probably would...
Some people think the last movie was the weakest movie, but see, the problem is the first movie I thought was dragged a bit. Some people thought it was a good movie. And I thought the second movie was better than the first movie, but some people thought, well, the first movie was better than the second movie. But all in all, you got... The first movie has to set the theme and the pace, whatever.
Yeah, the pace.
And then you could the next movie should drag you along to the next level somewhere, or bring you into other areas of the theme, which it probably failed to do for some people.
Well,
I'd say for some people. And the closing one is just bring it all together.
Yeah, as we said, guys, I did think it was really good, the twists and turns in these all three movies.
They had a couple of sneaky little bits in there, I must admit.
They left you wondering, is this person really escaped from the place, or are we talking to a demon who's taking on the form?
Now you're trying to do... You're going to tell the story in a minute.
I know, but it leaves you wondering, is this
real?
For the real?
Is it set up? Are they talking to a dead person? Are they talking to a live person? Yeah, that sort of stuff. And it keeps you wondering a little bit, especially after the first time you realise that it isn't all that seems. You find out in the first movie. And the end of the first movie, is it? Or in the second movie?
I think that all of them had something that...
but something not quite
something
right about.
Not quite right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the first one was pretty good. It set some good pace. And I did like the fact that it left you wondering what's going to happen next, or what's happening in the background.
And exactly right. And in the background, that's something you need to watch in these three movies. There are things going on in the background. If you're sitting there having a chat, grabbing a chip or some popcorn or something, rather than taking a swig of beer or lighting a cigarette, you're not going to see the stuff happening in the background. And it goes quite quick sometimes and a little bit subliminal. So you have to pay attention.
Yes. So anyway, do you want me to start the story?
How are you going to do this? Are you going to tell the first story? And
I'll do it very briefly, quickly as possible.
What am I going to do with the actors? Do you want me to do the actors for each one separately?
Yeah, would be good.
Okay. Movie one. I'll just go through the main ones. Okay. Okay. Movie one. The main people. We've got Ryan Jennifer Jones plays Sarah Havel. She's a very nice looking lady, and she's really whatever. And Danny Bellini, and I wonder if he's related to the other guy.
I don't know.
Plays Alex Taylor. Gore Abrams plays Paul O'Keefe. Jared Hacker plays Tony Prescott. Adam Schneider as Andrew McNamara. Alice Bakey plays Diane Graves. Phil Hess plays Joey. I think I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, that's it. The main people are the ones who actually set the place up anyway.
Yeah, so the story begins. A bunch of people are making preparations to open a new type of haunted house attraction. That's it. And
what's a scare house?
Yeah, a spook house.
Yeah.
And
for Halloween.
And they found this this house called the Abaddon House, even though that's the name of the town, we learned later on the Abaddon means a demon of sorts, or something.
I think from memory, the demon is the gateway to hell or something, right?
Yeah, something like that. And anyway, the owner of the house originally belonged to
Abaddon Hotel.
Abaddon Hotel belonged to a proprietor who, as it turns out, a lot of people got missing at this hotel.
They went missing. It's sort of like Hotel California.
You check in and you can check out.
You go in there, you can check out any time you like, but you can never leave.
Yeah, I wonder what they were thinking when they came up. That bit of sing-song line.
Sounds good to me.
Anyway, that very same person, he up and hanged himself from the attic, I think.
Whatever. No, it's supposedly, but that shows up in the scene because we didn't actually go back, but we just saw it. They were telling the story, and he's hanging there, but we believe that's true.
Anyway, 20 or 20 years later.
20, 30 years later,
a couple of years later. This was the death of him was in the 80s, I think. I'm not sure. It could be 70s or 80s.
Whatever.
I can't be sure. Anyway, so our people head to the hotel.
It's an abandoned one, obviously.
It's an abandoned place, and it's not creepy looking like a castle creepy. It's just ordinary creepy,
Creepy, grungy.
Abandoned.
A bit of decay about it, like, falling apart. But it had something in the floor plan made it a little bit like a maze. But not quite like a maze, but it was designed that way by the original architect.
Yeah, so they head inside, they check the rooms out. They say that they don't need to change too much about the place because some of the stuff is old.
Yeah, they're going to throw some stuff in there, like the old fake spider webs and spiders and a couple of figurines of moving clowns and stuff. The usual sort of stuff you get.
Yeah, they even went to the basement and sort of, what do they call a 5-star pentagram.
Sorry,
that's on one of the walls, or two of the walls, I should say.
Yeah, so it looks like someone had been doing some naughty stuff down there.
Yeah. They then start setting up the place. They set up the props, the mannequins and stuff like that, and of course. Some of them start noticing something weird about the props.
Some of them start to move a little bit.
Like the creepy clowns in one scene swivel their heads.
And the people who put them there couldn't move the heads because there was no pivot points on the neck, so just solid. So how could the dummy turn its head? Well, mannequin, yeah, you know what I mean. Not a dummy,
we do see throughout the scene that sometimes the clowns move in the background or something moves in the background.
They appear in the background like they're standing up and they appear in other parts of the house during the movie.
Yeah, some very simple stuff.
Is somebody moving them to scare somebody or is there something else going on?
At first it starts off like, oh, it's a prank. The old crew make pranks when they're working, to liven up the liberty.
Yes, remember when the bio-drama about Alfred Hitchcock where they put Mrs. Bates in the trailer?
Yeah, I remember. That was hilarious. Anyway, that's sort of levity happening. But of course they shrug it off and all that stuff. Some of them deny that they had anything to do with some of the things.
No one ever does it. Nah.
Anyway, soon enough, on the night in question, the things start taking on really bad eventually.
They do.
They start getting people in, and then we watch as strange stuff start happening. Like even in the basement, we see some black silhouette figures, approaching and kidnapping and killing the tourists. And some of them run around. Well, the camera swivels in so many directions, and it's hard to tell what's happening throughout.
Yeah, well, that's one thing I don't like about some of these movies. They're doing the panic bit with the camera too much. You don't see anything.
Yeah.
You can slow down the panic just a little bit off the camera so you actually see something.
Yeah, we get at the opening there was a tourist who was filming it. Just like those people you see on YouTube who film spook houses or mazes, and then they put it on YouTube to promote it, if you will.
Yeah, exactly right.
And,
like you do sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Anyway, this very person. He swivels the camera around, makes it hard to see. But the ones who are working there, we get a bit of a bigger shot of what we see more in this. We just see a lot of dark figures chasing down tourists and locking the crew members inside the place and leaving them no chance of escape. And Alex, the guy who in charge of the place, he gets hanged and eventually the guy who was filming him was killed on the spot. I don't know how.
Cinematographer, DOP.
Yeah, and Sarah, she gets killed by what's his name? Tony. He was he kind of got traumatized by the house,
and the head ghoulie.
Yeah, and he killed Sarah. I think he slid her throat. I'm not sure.
He did something to her anyway, yeah.
And her body gets dragged away.
Did he kill himself as well?
Yeah, he killed himself. He
slit his throat, didn't he?
His throat, and throughout the opening and the ending, we find out Sarah's being interviewed by some reporters named Diana,
yeah.
Diana, and the never mind about the other guy who's filming it.
So we're just going back to Sarah. We don't know. We they didn't know whether Sarah was dead. We just saw her on the ground and being dragged away or something or other. And
yeah. See, at the end we see her talking to them and giving her the cassettes that were filming of the what happened.
Yep.
And they said, "Come, please visit me very soon she says her room was 2C.
2C.
And when they go to the checkout downstairs, they ask about where Sarah is. She lives. She's in 2C, and the person at the desk says that they didn't have letters on their
any of our rooms. But when they went back to Hell House,
they go upstairs, do a quickie, and as they're heading upstairs, we see a room labelled 2C. And then they open it, and we see Sarah sitting on the bed. And as they approach, we see her face completely.
It's a bit damaged.
And then suddenly the door shut behind them, and we see the silhouette figures standing around them, and they come in and attack them.
Exactly. Yay.
Now,
so we realise he wasn't alive when she's being interviewed.
Yeah.
Just like a politician.
Anyway, now on to the second movie, which has some new cast members. Although I think that some of the original actors come back to make a few appearances. They do some
archival footage, sort of flashbacky type stuff.
Yeah.
I'll read off a couple of the people in this one. Vasily Fluter plays Mitchell Kavanagh. Gillian Gertz plays Jessica Fox. What's that, Jessica Rabbit? Anyway, Joy Schatz plays Molly Reynolds. Dustin Austin plays David Morris. Brian David Tracy plays Arnold Tasselman and Andrew Tully. You know the guy at the interview? Yes, he plays both roles because they look very much the same.
Yeah.
Kyle Engelman plays Brock Davies. I'll do probably one more here. Amanda Morales plays Susie McCombs. There you go.
Yeah, so we're on to the second movie. Now, this one is horrors and shocks. They start way quicker than the last one.
Yeah, oh, goody.
And
that's why I liked it better.
Yeah, so it's quick pace. Although, in the open, just like in the other movie, it's an interview.
But doesn't it start opening where they went to room 2C?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It opens on the last scene we see of the reporter and her cameraman going inside the room, and then gets whatever. And then we cross to morning mystery, sort of like Unsolved Mysteries, I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but morning, a TV show.
Yeah.
I think, like a news sort of current affairs sort of thing.
Type of thing.
Yeah, but interviews with people.
Yeah. And she's interviewing Mitchell, one of the members of the team that we never see before, and we see another guy who's a bit of a psychic, or but actually not a psychic, to be honest, because he just sees himself as a money maker. Wouldn't you say?
Well, the other guy, he wasn't psychic. Just a guy who thinks himself to be a psychic.
Yeah. Anyway.
Psychic.
Yeah, he seems
not psychic. Yeah.
So anyway, and the final person in group is I think either the mayor of the town, who continues throughout this interview saying that the house in question is not haunted, and this is just conspiracy theories.
It's bad advertising for our township. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah. But Mitchell doesn't believe this. He thinks that the house is really haunted, and a lot of people back up his claims. Like a lot of people we do get to hear in other interviews say the house is really haunted, but other people disagree on that fact.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop, young people like YouTubers going inside there to do a quickie, and unfortunately they never return.
Yeah, funny that, hey?
Yeah, there's even a boy couple who went inside there after they picked up a hitchhiker who wanted to go to the house, and as she goes inside...
It's a hotel. You keep saying a house.
Yeah, well, it's a house. It's still a house.
Okay.
It hasn't been a hotel for 20 or 30 years.
It's a hotel now. Still guest.
So she heads inside, and she turns into zombie and attacks the two boys.
And I don't think they made it out either, just quietly.
Yeah. Anyway, so Anyway, Jessica Fox contacts Mitchell. She's a ghost adventures type person.
Yeah, like you're a cinematographer, journalist type, you're right. Yeah.
So she wants to go inside the house because it's guarded by police for reasons.
They do drive past every, 10, 20 minutes? Something like that?
And she wants to get the inside scoop because she thinks that there's some videos probably from the cultists who may have filmed inside that house.
Exactly.
And I think this might be a good way to expose the fact and get people to know this place is legit. It's
really haunted, or at least do an expose on it, yes.
Yeah, so she and her crew and Mitchell, they head down there, including the psychic eventually, who pops up with his own cameraman.
Yep.
And they head inside, leaving one of the girls, the crew members, to stay outside and be lookout. But she doesn't stay lookout for long because she gets called in by the house, but all the time thinking it was actually the cameraman.
She had a two-way radio, and someone on the two-way radio, sounding like her friend, said, "Hey, I need your help. Can you come in, please?"
Yeah.
But it wasn't him. It was someone
else in the house. Yes.
Pretending.
Anyway, so they do eventually find the videos. They're in the basement inside a fridge.
An old fridge freezer, yeah. Big one, yeah. A walk-in job.
Yeah, a walk-in freezer.
Lots of old boxes and stuff of photographs and books and
videotapes.
And video. It's funny that, isn't it?
Yeah, and while they're looking at this treasure trove of videos, we see behind them the clown figure swiveling past them.
Just going past the door. He's going for a little walk here.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the psychic and his cameraman, they actually conduct a seance using a homemade Ouija board they made using chalk and a wood chip.
He had a planchette and he just got a piece of chalk and you write yes and no. Yes and no questions, make it a bit easier.
And of course, the ghosts don't answer, and they soon
enough
get
they did
killed.
Answer. He said he's asking questions and didn't move because they're already on yes or no. It's just saying, well, I've already answered that one. I'm not going to move it again. Yeah, and that's where the problem was. He wasn't realised that, hey, he's in danger.
Yeah, instead of closing the circle like you often do if you're conducting the spirits, like you have to, whenever you're using a Ouija board, you have to say your farewell and goodbye, and then close
do a lockdown
or
what do you call it? Whatever you call it. Yeah, when you finish off, you close the session properly.
Yeah.
So you don't have any uninvited guests staying for dessert.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, so this is when it gets more scary. They try to get out, but the door's locked. Before, whenever people keep going inside the place, the door is ajar.
When is a door not a door? When it's ajar. That's
So
that's an old joke I heard
anyway, one of the doors gets blocked by the prop clown, and when they're about to approach it, it swivels and moves its head.
Whoops,
indeed. They then run upstairs and into 2C, the room that Sarah occupied in the final scene.
Bugger.
Yeah, they lock it, and because I think it was either Diane or Sarah who chases them up there and tries to bang on the door.
Tapping on the chamber door.
Of course, they were able to barricade the creature off by shoving just trusted drawers against the door.
Yeah, that helps sometimes.
They also find more footage, like they find one bit of footage with Alex, it's a CCTV footage inside the hotel, which we don't know who mounted it, but he's actually talking to an unknown figure in the scene.
Or you see the figure's hand and you hear the voice, but you don't see who it is. Actually, you just raised a good point there. I didn't realise.
What's that?
Well, that was an old abandoned hotel.
Yes.
The first crew that went in there put the CCTV in there when they actually went in there months after he had this meeting. So where did the CCTV footage come from?
Ooh, good point, Mike. That is an interesting thought.
Those ghosts have been up to many little...
who knows? Maybe it was an old camera that was...
They wouldn't have had CCTV in there. And if it had been there for 30 years, it wouldn't have bloody worked anyway. And they said they had to put the electricity on because there's no electricity in the place.
Well,
Ah.
anyway, the cat. We
Gotcha.
don't see the man, but we hear that he coaxed him to Alex to make his haunted attraction at this very hotel.
Yeah.
And
He had to pay money to the guy, a couple of grand or whatever it's going to be. Yeah, and he got there, and he said, "This house is a piece of crap." And he said, "Yeah," and he still agreed to do it there and fix it up, and it was going to be pretty good. It looked pretty good to me.
Yeah, it's true.
It scared the crap out of the people who went there on the first night. Mm-hmm. They were just dying to get out.
Yeah, while they're talking, then the lights go out, and then one of what's her name? Oh yeah, Jessica's team disappears, and then we find out that she's let me see. Oh yeah, she's in the basement with the clown figures and the silhouette bad, cloak,
A hooded figure.
figures. And they quickly...
A bit like a Grim Reaper, but we don't know who he is. I got a funny feeling it's a guy who actually owned the motel. Yeah. Or his spirit. Yeah.
They quickly get away and they separate, and soon enough we then cross back to the interview, which ends eventually, and let me see. Mitchell and the psychic guys, discuss whether they will go back to the said haunted house, and Mitchell is bent on not going, but he's contacted by this Jessica person on the television to say that she got a letter from some unknown source to tell her that there'll be tapes inside the place, and they ought to go and explore the place.
Exactly.
See, I think, according to Mitchell, is that they're coaxed into coming there.
Coaxed.
Yeah. It's
tricked, if you will.
Tricked. It by the unknown sources of the the supernatural world.
We think it's the old owner.
Yeah.
Well, we do later on. Yeah.
Anyway, eventually as the reporter's moving on to next, getting her makeup done, she then gets a call by her assistant telling her that the mayor went to a car accident and couldn't make the interview.
Yeah, he had a car accident and he phoned up, so I can't make the interview, but she'd been talking to him.
Yes.
So, okay, that was only a quick cutaway, but I just been talking to him, he just left,
Yes.
What do you mean he's not coming? So,
yes.
We start wondering.
Yeah, anyway, so back to the house itself. Jessica and her teammate, they end up getting attacked by the dark hooded figures, and Mitchell is eventually gets inside a dining room, and we see the dead bodies of Alex and another person I can't remember, but I know for a fact he was the one who got them, who was another person who knew of what's been happening.
Yeah.
I think it was Jackson who kind of back in before the whole incident, when he was a little 6-year-old, he was given a premonition of the house being built.
What's going to happen in the future. And a little melody is playing on his little electronic keyboard.
Yeah, he was no more than a 7 or 6-year-old.
7 or 8, something. Yeah, right. He wouldn't have been much more than that, yeah.
And he predicted this in front of his mum, and she was filming it at the time. And she didn't understand what he was talking about. How little she knows. Anyway, we then see the cult leader, of course, and he looks exactly as the mayor that was on Morning Mysteries. And we think, me and Mike, that he was the proprietor of the hotel and the leader of the cult.
Exactly.
That he continues inviting new and guests to the hotel.
Well, he wants new guests. Look, it's no good having a motel if you don't have it fully tenanted. You lose money. Okay?
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, he wants Mitchell to select one survivor to leave the hotel. And Mitchell is not, he doesn't say who's going to be chosen. But then we see the teammate getting her throat, she gets stabbed in the stomach, killed, and then she dies, we think.
He thinks.
And then we watch Mitchell slowly approach Jessica, and we don't know her fate. But then we cross over to a police interrogation room, I think,
Yeah.
where Jessica is talking to a policeman.
She's a bit stunned.
And she's covered in blood, and she looks very awful.
And stunned.
And as the policeman turns away to answer a call or something, we see how
Her face has
demonic
changed.
she looks,
Yes.
hinting that she is now another
One of the
vessel or vessels of the evil demon or
she's
proprietor.
not really like the other one in the the other one. Yeah,
Yeah, and she tells the Cooksey and policeman to go to the hotel
and check it out.
We don't know what happens to him.
No, because then it jumped to another couple of years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the second movie.
That's the second movie. So
Yeah.
here we go. What
don't-
happened to the
yeah.
policeman? Did they get gobbled up by the house?
And we don't know if
Motel,
Mitchell
hotel,
survived. I think Mitchell may have been killed too.
We think so, because nobody else survives.
Because,
Yes.
as Mike would point out to you, that no one ever leaves this hotel, meaning no one survives, no one leaves. Anyway, moving on. So the final one, which was released in 2020, is our final piece to this movie puzzle. So, who stars in that?
Yeah. Now, how do I say that name? Okay, right. Gabriel Chitry, or Chitry, Chytry, plays Russell Wynn. He's an enigmatic sort of man, isn't he?
I agree.
We don't know what he is. Is he a good guy, bad guy, just an ordinary guy trying to make a buck? We don't know what he is.
Yes.
But he, the story does develop quite nicely around him. Elizabeth Familier plays Vanessa Shepherd. Sam Kazi plays Jeff Stone. Theodore Belucas plays Robert Lyons. Brian David Tracy plays Andrew Tully. Again, he does reprise his role. Bridget Abrams plays Jane Maloney. Leo Dufresne plays Gregory Sendovic. And Jordan Kaplan plays Max. I won't do anybody else. Danny Bellini and other people show up again because they do a bit of retro stuff again.
Yeah.
Actually, Kaplan. That name rings a bell.
Anyway, so the
Here we go
final
again.
piece to the puzzle. So we then cross over to, on the news, they're thinking of closing down and destroying or demolishing Hell House.
But prior to doing that,
a wealthy businessman named Russell, he steps in and says that he wants you to convert the old Hell House, or the hotel, into a new theatre thing called the Insomnia.
yeah, a little bit. How would you explain it?
It's a sort of a theatre.
A bit like a theatre restaurant type thing.
Yeah.
With live tableaus. Is
Yeah.
that it?
Yeah, I would say that. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I went
yeah.
to one
Yeah.
not too long ago where it takes place in a bar where they did their own Cluedo type event thing.
Yeah, we
it was
went to
really
one of those
fun.
recently. It was really good.
Yeah, it was really
Had
awesome.
to solve the crime, and that's
Yeah,
it.
it was really incredible.
But this one here, you're watching things unroll. We're doing Faust or something or other?
Yeah, Faust.
Yeah,
The whole selling your soul to the devil in order to get the love of a young girl.
Or get your age back, or both.
Or both. I don't know what happens in the story, but I ought to read it one day.
Well, yeah, whatever. Carry on.
Yeah, so anyway, we get the Russell. Russell is a very wealthy businessman who knows more than he knows about the house history.
But he's not letting on. How's that?
Yeah.
That's why he's a little bit enigmatic,
Yeah, he also got into a car accident not too long ago.
Yeah, and he had a scar down his left cheek, or across
Yeah.
his eye down to his cheek, and he supposedly he had a bit of what's the word? Career change?
Yeah, quite right.
An epiphany, something or other. Yeah. So he became a rather wealthy man in his business and different things, but he wanted to do something else.
Yeah, anyway, a lot of people who heard of the other documentaries, the other Hell House stories. Some people still don't believe it, think it's all a ruse and made up.
A ruse.
And,
I like that.
and don't think it's just fake, a lot of stuff. And don't think it's any harm. Anyway, the Morning Mysteries interviewer who's now replaced by a younger, nicer-looking lady. The other one, I guess, retired or left after that season
maybe
episode.
got sacked. I don't know.
Maybe. It doesn't matter. It matters not at this time. Yeah. And she's there to interview the cast and the crew and Russell as well. And
yes.
She wants to get the inside look into it.
Yeah, what's going on here? Yeah, you're breathing new life back in this old building and stuff, and bad history and blah, 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 blah.
She then starts noticing weird things. Like one scene, we find out one of the makeup ladies disappears after something happens to her.
Okay.
And the rest of the time, Russell shrugs it off, saying that she just left. But she's actually seen things. Like we see in some of her photos that she snapped on Instagram, were actually shots of herself with a few dead members of the previous people who died
in the background
in the house.
Yeah, but someone standing in a doorway who shouldn't have been there. That sort of stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, there was even a scene where one of the actors, during a wager, had to go into the basement and kiss one of the dead clowns.
Alone.
Yeah, which makes it no sense why the dead clowns are still here in this scene because
they need to be somewhere like anybody else.
Yeah, unless they still haven't bothered to discard them because they're still making renovations to the place. They're making new progress into the building, trying to make it look different on opening night. Anyway, she goes into there and she kisses one of the clowns, and then one of the clowns' head swivels to the, to stare at her.
Yeah.
And she quickly makes her way up the stairs. She starts...
Doesn't quite make it.
Yeah, and she starts, crying, and she tells the rest
Time for a panty liner.
And she plans on leaving, but luckily enough, she was able to stay for the opening night. Anyway, our reporter, what's her name? Vanessa?
Whatever.
Yeah, I think
Vanessa.
Vanessa. She's curious about why Russell is ignoring all the signs. She even sees something too that she cannot explain, and it's recorded for all to see. Wouldn't you say, Mike?
Yep.
Anyway, she then heads to. She then gets all the fun facts from the priest who knew Russell and gave her all the facts about how Russell is liquefying his assets and giving them to him to distribute to charities, and this is very curious why he's doing this. Like, is something wrong with his business? Is he?
Well, no, it's the whole point that he had a good business. He was just liquefying his assets. Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting.
Anyway,
to be done that night.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. That's his plan of his what he's going to do, and of course the crew, when they get wind of this and it's released on the news, they think that they might not get any money from this during this performance. They'll probably not get paid or anything like that. We then think that maybe this would cause people to walk away from this establishment, but that doesn't stop them from coming eventually, wouldn't you say?
No.
On the night,
yep.
Russell begins the attraction. Everyone's prepped up in their roles, and then they're also equipped with some white masks of sorts.
Everyone goes in wears a white, like a porcelain mask, but it's probably plastic.
Yeah.
But with no distinct features on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of those weird, those
like those doll masks type thing. Yeah.
Anyway, they head inside, and Vanessa, she goes around with the audience members to view this sort of thing. It seems to be going so well, but then when we get to the bit with the devil talking to, the actors talking about the devil in between the devil and Faust scene, and the creepy proprietor, the old proprietor, the ghost one, appears, and he says that there's no bargain with the devil, stuff like that. And then we get the lights out, and he ends up crushing, like Jason Voorhees crushing one of the actors' heads in.
Very nice.
And then
Very tasteful.
the hooded figures start appearing, and
lots of them.
And so everyone starts running, and the hooded figures, they start
I'm
lashing
wondering
out
who
and
the
killing
hooded
everyone.
figures are, whether the previous people who had died in the building or something.
That's an
We never knew who the hooded figures were.
Yeah, we don't. Anyway, the hooded figures start chasing after all the actors, the customers. They they try to get away, but just so you guys know, they don't stop there. The hooded figures start chasing them out to their cars and start killing them and
try to drag them inside.
Yeah.
And interesting.
Then eventually Vanessa, who's eventually grabs one of the cameras, but she gets grabbed by one of the silhouette figures who drags her into the basement, and where the proprietor slits her throat. And then Russell appears, and the demon who in the hotel owner's form, says to him, "Who are you?" And then Russell and him start wrestling, and suddenly something opens up.
At this point, a portal has appeared in the wall behind them, and this is the gateway to hell.
Yeah, meaning it's going to feed the victims of the dead bodies into that portal in order to release hell onto Earth. I don't know how.
Somewhat, but open the gateway.
Anyway, Russell fights him, and then we watch the whole place crumble around them. And then we hear on the news the place had burnt down, but the customers and the performers and Vanessa, they had escaped, and they were on the other side of the establishment, meaning they were not harmed.
The only one who was missing was Russell.
And later on, we see Vanessa and some of the performers of Insomnia. They're back at the house. The place is burnt to a cinder, and they all wonder what became of Russell. And we then flash to a person talking about what became of Russell, and we found out that when he died, when he
had his car accident,
he was dead for like a few seconds.
2 or 3 minutes.
2 or 3 minutes, and technically
so he'd gone
to
the other side. You're technically dead. Yeah.
And briefly, who knows what went down when he was dead for that brief time. He must have talked to God or something,
or somebody,
to establish him a mission to get him to
come back and do some work
and try to destroy the gateway.
Yeah, which he did, obviously. I get the impression when he's fighting with the ghost hotel owner, or whatever, I think he threw himself and Tully through the gateway somehow or other, maybe killing Tully and himself, and that's about the same time the house burned down.
And the survivors who got either stabbed or killed, some of them say, I died, but somehow Russell was able to bring them back. Like, what do they call, what was the person called? Lazarus. Yeah. They somehow, Russell was given the power to revive the audience and the customers and the performers, meaning he even promised them no one was going to get killed or hurt. However, this is not applied to everyone, I should mention.
People who died previously didn't have that benefit.
Yeah, see, those people, like the ones at the beginning in the first movie
and the
second movie, they're still technically dead and buried. And we can't, and I guess we can't do anything about it, even though Lazarus would disagree with you on that
so
fact.
The people from the first movie show up, don't they?
Yeah, we see in the post-credits scene, we see Sarah, Alex, and some of their team. They think they're still alive,
and they're a bit vague because they'd like to have been having a dream or something or other. They looked a bit,
they tried
a bit out of sorts.
They tried to open the exit door. The place is still intact, so you know.
Yeah.
But Russell appears and tells them that you guys died many years ago, and and you should move on. So he walks out of the room and
apparently going to the afterlife.
He probably said this to a number of the people who's been trapped inside the hotel for many years, and they have either moved on or still stuck inside the house.
And these people who died in the first movie,
they
didn't follow him. They went into the bar.
They went to the bar, and that's the last time we see of them.
So we believe they didn't believe him, and they're still stuck in limbo somewhere.
Mike, a lot of times when, whether you not believe it or not, but I think some ghosts don't even know they're dead. They know they're dead,
or don't believe it.
That maybe there's something that ties them to this earth that gives them the impression that they're still alive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, fade to black, pretty much.
So that's the end of the final movie, and that's closure on this movie.
Now,
Russell says something about them opening the portal, but he closed it.
See?
Meaning, it was sort of the group's fault for opening it.
I don't think it was.
I don't think it's their fault.
I think it was a leader's group, the group leader, because he cut the deal with Mr. Tully.
Yeah, Tully, sorry.
And I think those two were responsible. He's a bit of the group leader. Doing a deal with Tully opened the door, the gateway. Yeah.
And we do see some flashbacks of Russell witnessing each individual at different locations where he witnesses their agreeing to go off to the hotel and stuff like that. And we see it twice in one scene where the members from the first movie, they're talking and discussing their plans.
He's in the background.
And we see him sitting in a bar stool, or not a bar stool, in one of the booths, listening in. And then we see him another time as he's entering the restaurant.
So he's been there in the background, knowing who I wouldn't say stalking them, but being aware they were going to be going to the house.
Yeah. And he also kept, during one of the scenes with Vanessa going to interrogate or interview Russell, she sees some of the video footage on his laptop, playing and all that stuff. Meaning he has been studying the deaths of the people and knowing it's in the cult's ins and outs to this whole instant.
Yeah, this creepy old house and
I like to admit the guy Tully, is that his name?
Tully, the main guy.
He reminds me a little bit of the guy from Poltergeist too, the weird, creepy priest in that movie that tries to get the little girl to get her psychic powers, stuff like that. It makes me think of that guy. Because he does have a creepy sense about it. Anyway, go on, Mike.
I was going to say, anyway, that sort of finishes the movie, like we said. Now, just a little bit of production details. I don't normally get a lot of production details on these sort of things, but this one has. The film's exec producers asked for a script revolving around a haunted attraction gone wrong, obviously. And blah, 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 blah. The filmmakers were in search of an abandoned house to shoot the film in. They were in, I believe, in the New York area.
Got it.
They checked many out and they couldn't find one. So they found a haunted attraction called The Haunting at the Waldorf Hotel in Layton, Pennsylvania. So they actually filmed it in a real haunted attraction.
Oh, that's cool.
So they did that. So the stuff that was in there was probably stuff that was already in there for the haunted attraction, and they just changed a few things around for the film.
That's cool.
Interesting, hey? So, interesting little things that come out occasionally, but there's nothing much more to talk about in it, but yeah.
Yeah, so there's no, aside from the second one being given a bad rap by reviewers, and everyone saying, the third one being less of the scarier of the two.
What I said is some people think that the first movie was the best movie. I think the second movie was the best movie because a little bit more was happening in it. And some people think the last movie, the third movie, is riding on the shirt tails of the first movie, that sort of stuff. But you had to have some sort of closure, and this sort of closed up reasonably nicely, made a nice parcel out of it, if you will. Okay? So, I've got no problem with. I don't necessarily like found footage, like the Blair Witch Projects and all the others they do. This is not too bad if you like that sort of thing. Okay, the filming's good, the acting's not bad, the storyline's passable. So it fits all the criteria, and it is Halloween season.
Yeah, exactly.
So come on, and it's about a haunted house attraction. Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
So come on. So give it a go. We did the other. What was the other one we did recently?
That would have been the houses that October built.
So that was just another Halloween-based one. This is Halloween. Come on, suck it up, enjoy it, and whatever. Now, I'm not going to go over the top of this one, but I'm not going to knock it too much either. I'm going to grade this up around 8.5. 8.5.
I'm going to give it 10.5 for a good. I mean, 10 out of 10. I mean, usually I give 10.5 out of if I really enjoy the movie. But
really.
But I do enjoy the fact that there was a good conclusion, and unlike other found footages, they leave you hanging or dangling.
Yeah. This had a good closure. It actually tied it all up nicely. So I must take my hat off to Stephen Cognetti. His writing style for the first one, to me, dragged a bit, but the overall writing style for the film worked quite nicely.
Well, that's the thing. It's built up, all that stuff.
Well, built up, but look, you had 3 movies, each about an hour and a half long, right? That's about 4.5 hours a movie.
Right.
All right? He could have made 2 movies telling the story and getting out some of the dead bits.
Right.
And made 2 movies. That's what I'm trying to say. You get rid of the dead bits and make a bit of cutting and bring it down. But obviously, the first movie was made 2015. The next one was done 3 years later, so you couldn't really do that. But
anyway, I did think Russell, the actor playing him, he was Gabriel. He was pretty hot. I like I like his scar, and I think he has a beautiful
ruggedly
face.
good-looking man he was. How's that?
Yeah, there's some really good photos of him before and after he got the scar. But I did like the scar on his face. It adds a little bit of character.
Just going back to the availability and stuff. I gather it's all video on demand sort of stuff. Amazon, Shudder, YouTube, Vudu, iTunes, whatever. There might be some other ones in there as well. But however. Excuse me for a moment. I'm just coughing again. Still got that dreaded cough. It is available, well, at least 1 and 2 are available on eBay, but Amazon, you can rent the 3 of them.
That's good to know.
I've had a look, so the other ones may still have it current as well. So, yeah.
Anyway, I think it's because most people think either prefer the first 2 and think this one, the third one, was more of a weaker of the
well,
two.
Yeah, but still, it puts the icing on the cake. It's got to finish it off. So, to me, if you're going to watch the first one, you might as well watch the 3 of them. I
don't think it's weak. I think it adds a bit of closure, and instead of the usual ongoing, we have an owner who's so obsessed to opening night. But I'm glad that in this one, he's an actual angel in disguise trying to save his performers and customers on the night.
Exactly.
And he did. And
he did.
Most of them may have either developed either insomnia or shocked that they just happened to be, just been saved because of they've been nearly sacrificed and nearly killed.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Because throughout they assumed that they were dead for at least a few seconds, but that somehow were revived.
The bodies weren't even cold, and you brought them back in. Lovely.
Yeah, well, unlike the ones that were like Mitchell and Sarah,
they were a bit smelly.
They would have been already in the ground.
Yeah, the maggots are gobbling them up and stuff, having a wonderful feast. Yeah,
and unlike Lazarus, who was buried there for a few days. Those bodies would have been very cold and no way of being saved. Maybe in my mind, I think that the bodies were not quite dead yet. They were just getting close to being.
Yeah.
But luckily enough, Russell and God were able to save those people from death.
All right. Okay.
So anyway,
that's about it.
That's about it for us this time around.
If you don't mind found footage, there you go.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good watch, and it is Halloween season. And it's not that expensive to watch through Amazon anyway, about $1 something or other per movie. So, hey, you want a scary night? Get the popcorn out, watch the 3 movies.
Although some people out there prefer the total no closure deal. They think no closure will leave it to you wondering what became of the
Yeah, but
people.
sometimes you need closure. I mean, you can't just leave it swinging. Like, take The Blob,
Okay.
the original Steve McQueen years ago, right?
Right.
Good movie, everything's fine. Right at the end, I think they had a question mark.
Uh-huh.
Is that the end, or is something going to happen? Ooh, but it had a closure in the movie, but when it says the end, I think it had a question mark.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So, anyway, that's my belief. I do think these movies, I should say, are worth watching. And,
I think so,
And they add something in each one of them that gives you a bit of a clue, or at least a piece of the puzzle to finally finally fit them all into place and get you realizing the whole mystery behind the movie. So,
Exactly.
I mean, that's what makes these movies really worth watching, guys.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway,
let's
that's
at least
about,
people want to go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's about it for us tonight, guys. Be sure to check it out as either on Amazon and
Or whatever, Shutter, and iTunes.
if you want to watch,
Yeah.
experience the whole thing, go on Amazon, obviously.
Well, the 3 of them are there. They're available. I know they're there. And, some of the other ones might not be streaming at the moment,
Yeah,
but I know Amazon has.
It's
Yeah.
early days. You never know. I mean, it just takes a little while for people to work their way through to get them all up there.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's about it for us guys tonight. So
Very
be
good.
sure to check it out on those places we recommend.
And
let us
other
know,
places.
And let us know in the comments which is your favorite Hell House movie.
I like the second one better than the first one because it's a bit more interesting, a bit more movement happening. And I do like the closure of the third movie. That's it.
Yes. Anyway, that's about it for us tonight. So be sure to check it out and let us know in the comments, all that stuff, as I said. So this is Sarah Stephenson
And Michael.
saying see you guys around on Boys and Ghouls Film Review. Bye for now.
Bye.